welcome back to another episode of our life seasons where we talk about the different seasons of life and how we grow through it. I'm your host, Wen. You already know it. I always wrap up every episode with a bonus, so be sure to stick till the end. If you've been loving the podcast episodes, do leave a review of this podcast on whichever platform that you're on and let me know which topics are your favorite. Now, today's topic is very timely because I've recently had moments where I have felt super overwhelmed at work, which in turn kind of sip into different areas of my life because of how I was feeling on a day-to-day basis. And like I always say, right, I'm always someone that tries to be as positive as I can. Even on this podcast, you'll be able to tell that I try to keep this positive mindset. But like I mentioned a lot of times, and the vulnerability and being able to be vulnerable about it and say that there are times that I'm still struggling with feeling overwhelmed or a lot of other negative emotions. I'm not perfect. No one is perfect, even though it may seem like on our life seasons I'm always, very positive. I've talked about it time and time again that it's not always like that. So remember how I said I'll always be very honest and vulnerable with my journey, and it's not always sunshine and rainbows. The truth is that I'm still navigating through a lot of uncertainty in my life right now, be it in work, future, or in the relationship department. I do have times where I wonder how these are all gonna shape up in the future or even by the end of this year. I have a lot of question marks in my mind, but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna allow them to stop me, right? I'm still navigating through this uncertainty and this discomfort, and sometimes it can get really overwhelming, which I feel like is something that everyone struggles with. But I want to let you know to also remember that whatever that you focus on grows. So if you focus on this feeling of overwhelm, know that you're just gonna get more uncomfortable, you're just gonna get more overwhelmed by thinking about it. Okay, so in this episode I kind of want to navigate you guys through my thought process on how I actually deal with this discomfort, how I actually deal with negativity or just this feeling of overwhelm. Okay, so feeling overwhelmed has always been something that I face pretty often, I think, especially when it comes to doing things or being placed in situations that gets me out of my comfort zone. So this feeling of not being able to breathe properly and anxiousness is not new to me. Okay, so for people who have actually experienced anxiety, you would know what I'm talking about, and feeling overwhelmed is just part of it. What I want to say is that everyone feels overwhelmed at one point in their life, and the deciding factor is whether you allow yourself to learn how to navigate through it or you allow it to eat you up. Because like challenges in life, right? I mentioned this before. Feeling overwhelmed is a very normal feeling, and it will continue to pop up every now and then in your life. Oh my god, I can't speak today. But it is very normal, right? And it will continue to pop up. But I want you to understand that this is just part of the growth journey, the growth process. Whether you like it or not, this feeling that it's not gonna go anywhere. You might as well learn how to be comfortable with it and find what's the best way to navigate through it. With that said, I'm not saying that we should never be overwhelmed or that you're weak for feeling overwhelmed. I want you to embrace this feeling and learn how to navigate through it with me in this episode. And like I said, this came very timely because I was actually learning how to navigate through this intense amount of emotions. Then I had a conversation in the DMs with one of you guys, Janelle. So Janelle, if you're listening to this, I hope you know that you're not alone and this podcast episode is for you. I always feel like we're all in sync. Whatever that I'm going through, you guys are somewhat also going through the same thing. And this makes us like a collective so connected together, and I just love it. But anyways, without me babbling on, I'm just gonna jump straight to the point. I love to say this. The first step to approaching anything in life is to be self-aware and face your emotions head on. Buying yourself time by either avoiding or being in denial is not gonna help make anything better, but worse. So if you're listening to this, I'm happy to say that you are actually self-aware of the emotions that you're facing right now, which is the feeling of overwhelm. Now that the first part is done, the second step is to actually identify your triggers, which is not an easy task, but definitely doable. So like I said, this feeling that you have right now is probably not going to be your last time that you're experiencing it. So take some time to learn how to identify signs of you being overwhelmed or the signs that shows your body or your soul that, okay, you're almost, hitting your burnout stage. Be it from your actions or your thought process and emotions prior to you getting hit with all the emotions at once, there will definitely be subtle cues or patterns that you can identify before you hit this major feeling of overwhelmed or burnout where you just feel so tired that you just want to lay in bed whole day and replay the worst case scenario over and over again, or just go through like the whole laundry list of things that you have to or need to do, and then you just get stuck in this whole loop of overthinking and feeling worse where you don't know how to get out of it, right? These feelings, I'm sure it's very, very, very well known, or rather you feel it as well, and I feel it as well. And I want to preface by saying that when you get to that point, or if you're at this point right now, you may feel that no amount of journaling or meditation will help you out because you're stuck in these emotions that you can't see a way out. And that is very normal. Okay, I want to normalize it. I to feel this way whenever I feel so overwhelmed by things that even trying to journal out or trying to just sit there and meditate is not possible. I totally get that, which is why I want to emphasize a lot on catching yourself before it gets worse or before you're just too deep in it, okay? Again, self-awareness plays a huge role in any areas of your growth journey. So now you might be asking, how can you actually identify your triggers? How do you spot for signs, right? Here's how. I want you to look back at what you are feeling leading up to where you are now emotionally. We all experience stress differently, but some common signs include, maybe feeling constantly on edge, having difficulty concentrating, you feel like your mind is constantly pulling you in different directions, and you start dreading waking up, or procrastinate when it comes to taking action. These are subtle signs and subtle cues of you feeling stressed out, and all these feelings actually leads up to this major breakdown of like overwhelm. So these are little cues that you can actually look at. So I want you to take the time to think about what is that one thought or situation that is constantly at the back of your mind, or one that you get so stressed out just from the thought of it. Is it a never-ending list of a never-ending to-do list, or is it like a looming deadline? Maybe it's a packed social calendar. Maybe it's that voice in your head saying that you have to do everything perfectly, or that constant feeling of needing to be on. What is it? I want you to really think through it and think about all these subconscious things that you're telling yourself on a day-to-day basis that is really leading you to be feeling overwhelmed at, like where you are right now. So once you know what pushes you towards overwhelm, you can actually start to avoid these triggers, or at least have a plan in place for when they hit. For example, if endless scrolling on social media makes you feel like a productivity failure, set time limits or designated social media breaks so that you don't feel like you're not being productive. You don't put that pressure on yourself. Allow yourself to set plans like that so that you can actually prevent yourself from hitting overwhelm. And the key word here is prevent. Okay, I'm not going to say that it's going to go away. It will just help you to prevent and regulate your emotions better. All right. And if it's the perfectionism that is making you feel this way, try taking a deep breath. Count to 3 and take the damn action. Okay, remind yourself that everyone is imperfect, and that is also what makes us perfect. Whenever you want to do something, I know there are a lot of fears that comes with it, whether it's fear of failure or whether it's fear of judgments. Or what I found really helpful for me is to just take 3 deep breaths, like really quick one, count to 3, and then just post it. Just do the damn thing. Just jump straight in. Okay, don't even give yourself that time to second guess. Don't even give yourself that time to think and overthink, because what happens when you allow yourself to have this leeway of thinking and spiraling into this negativity or in this fear, what you realize is that you end up not taking the action, and then you will start regretting not taking action, and then you'll start thinking of the possibilities if you will have taken the action, or what could have happened. All the ifs and coulds and would haves is not gonna help you. So just count to 3, take that action. Okay, so perfection doesn't exist, and you are perfectly imperfect the way you are. And I know it may sound cliche, but trying to achieve perfection is a recipe for overwhelm and a constant feeling that you're never good enough. So if this is you, please go back to listen to episode 16 on accepting yourself as you are, or episode 21 on finding confidence. Okay, so please spend some time reflecting on what throws you into overwhelm mode. Is it like a specific situation, a certain person's expectations? Maybe it's even the pressure you put on yourself. Once you identify your triggers, you can then start to manage them. Because remember, if you don't know what is causing you to feel this way, you will never be able to get to the roots of the problem. All right? So this all ties back to being self-aware and catching yourself on time. Now, next, since we're on the topic of imperfections, let's talk about how having this I have to do it all mindset will really hurt you in terms of getting you in this overwhelm spiral. Okay, spoiler alert, you can't and never will be able to do it all. Here's the secret. Nobody has it all together, and that's okay. We can't be everything to everyone, and that's perfectly okay. I want you to know that you don't have to do it all. You're not expected to do it all. I know sometimes, if you're like me, you set really high expectations of yourself, and sometimes it just takes for someone, in this case for me, to tell you that it's okay to not have it all. It's okay to not be doing everything all at once. Okay, you are still human after all. You have your limits, you have certain things that you want to work on, you have certain things that it's not your priority. That is okay. Okay, pace yourself. No one is expected to achieve everything all at once, including you. Whoever that you're comparing yourself to, know that whatever that you see may not be the truth, and it takes time and effort for them to be where they are right now. Don't compare your day 1 to someone else's day 100. Okay, it's not gonna do you justice. It's not gonna help you at all. So just don't. If comparison is your common thoughts and triggers for feeling overwhelmed, please go back to episode 35, where I talked about how comparison actually makes it worse, and shared some of my action steps to stop this comparison cycle. So, prioritize what truly needs your attention and let go of the rest. Delegate, ask for help, and don't be afraid to say no to things that drains your energy. That is when boundaries comes into place. And I talk about this a lot of times, to have your boundaries, to protect your energy, to protect your time, to protect yourself. Because there will be people out there in this world, whether you like it or not, who would not respect your boundaries, who would try to step all over you, who would try to make sure that you would be able to just give in to their needs and their wants whenever they want them to. And it is up to you to actually put your foot forward and be like, no, these are my boundaries. I'm not gonna allow you to step all over it, right? This is you protecting yourself. And I talked about this a lot of times. When you start to protect yourself and when you start to respect yourself, people will respect you the way you want to be treated, okay? So everything that you're feeling, everything that you're facing in life, whatever that is, it all boils down to you. Like it or not, I know it may be a tough pill to swallow. It all boils down to you. You have the choice to allow whether this situation or this person to eat you up and to disrespect you, or you can choose to literally set your boundaries and be like, I love myself enough to know that I deserve respect, okay? And all these are the type of topics that I talked about in our live season. So if you've been listening to all or majority of the podcast episodes, you know what I'm talking about. You know the importance of actually setting your boundaries and asking for help, okay? And knowing that you are the common denominator in life, all right? Now, of course, you now probably are thinking, okay, all right, with all these things and all this mindset stuff that I know, what are some action steps that I can do right now, okay, to help you navigate through these emotions? And I'm all about action steps. So now I'm going to break it down to you as to what are type of the things that you can expect, or rather you can do to overcome this overwhelming feeling, okay? One thing I need you to know is that whenever you feel overwhelmed, the chances of you overthinking and coming up with the worst case scenario is really high. It's almost 100%. And because of that, we don't really think things through. But this is also when it's important to start breaking things down, okay? Trust me when I say, regardless of what you are overwhelmed by, the only way out of it and to start feeling better, even if it's just slightly, is to break it down for yourself. And this can be in 2 different areas of your life: emotions and just actions, like your daily task. So let's start with the simple one, the daily task, okay? The things that you do on your day-to-day, on your to-do list. How does breaking down your task looks like? For example, if you're overwhelmed by the workload that you have from either your personal life or from your 9 to 5 work or your business, whatever that is, I want you to take a piece of paper and write down the main task on your list, like the umbrella task, like the XYZ project, or like social media content, email, newsletter, etc. Like, just write out the big projects that you have. Don't go into details yet, just the big ones, the big items that you have in your mind right now, okay? Once that is done, I want you to now rank them in terms of their level of importance and deadline. So which ones are the ones that are more time sensitive and which ones have a little bit more leeway to it. This is when you may feel like everything is important, but please be honest with yourself and start ranking it, okay? No 2 projects should be in the same rank of the same level of importance, all right? It all should be ranking from 1 to 10 or 1 to 3 or 1 to however many items you have on your list, okay? Don't panic if you have more than 3 items on your list, or if you feel like, oh my god, this is such a huge list. I don't want you to start panicking. I want you to know that this just helps you to clear a lot of things in your mind by writing down, okay? You can put it in Google Docs, you can put it in Notion, whatever that helps you with, whether it's writing down on a piece of paper. physically or just digitally, whichever works for you. Okay, just list all of these projects down, all of the things that you need to work on, and then rank them based on their deadline and time sensitivity. Okay, once that is done, take the top priority project and write down everything that you need to do, big or small, down to the details. This is when you start to look at the details of things. And I want you to only do it for the top 2 or 3 projects. The rest can wait, okay? Just do it for the top 2 or 3 projects. I want you to really split it down, whether it's on another piece of paper or just on the same piece of paper, whatever works for you. There is no rule to it, okay? I'm not talking about the projects, but the action steps for the projects. Like, let's just say drafting an email, sending out the email, research, brainstorming, content ideas, etc. You get it, like the details, every single thing, whether it's big or small, okay? Doesn't matter how long it's gonna take you. Simple things like sending out the email, write it down, okay? So that you can help declutter your brain. Yes, it may look like it's gonna be a longer list than ever, but I want you to know that you should write everything down. This is because it helps your brain to declutter, like I said, right? Just think about it this way. Whatever that you have right now, because it's so overwhelming because everything is just all over the place. You can't really like put it to words, or rather you can't really see the flow of things, the importance of things. So by writing down, you actually help to put all these little bits into their own place, and you'll be able to see a bigger picture of it. Okay, this helps to declutter everything. So think of your brain as this really tangled mess right now. And what you're doing right now is to follow each string and just untangling them. Slowly but surely and with patience, you will definitely get there, okay? Just imagine now it's so crumpled together, like everything is just tied together and it feels so damn overwhelming, which I know. But once you start to take a string at a time and start to untangle them, at the end of this whole exercise, you should imagine that your brain is just, everything just has its own place, and you'll be able to identify which are more important, which are the things that you have to do, and redo your to-do list, okay? So, you should have a clearer mind after all of this of what you should do next and what can wait. Pace yourself and allow yourself to take at least 5 to 10 minutes break to meditate, journal, and get yourself to connect back into your inner peace before you actually conquer that list. And this is very important. I know you may be excited, or you may just want to jump straight into that to-do list because there's so much to do. But it is really important for you to take this 5 to 10 minutes break after writing everything down. If you take however long you need, maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour, whatever that is, I want you to take that break, okay? It's very important. I can't stress this enough. Please take this break to meditate, to journal, to do something else, to get yourself in this creative zone and to get yourself to be more in tune with yourself before you conquer that list. All right, now next one is on emotions. This can be a little bit more tricky compared to your day-to-day task, okay? Since it isn't always straightforward as compared to your to-do list, but it's not as impossible, alright? I talked about this all the time. The importance of feeling your emotions and sit with it. If you have not heard of it, or this concept of feeling through your emotions is foreign and sounds really uncomfortable to you, I suggest you listen to episode 42, because that is where I talked about my healing journey and how I healed some parts of my mindset and stories that I have been holding on to for years, and this really helped me, okay? And I just want to set some expectations for your healing journey. It's a ongoing journey. It's not like once you've healed this overwhelming feeling, it's not gonna come up. Like I said at the start of this episode, feeling overwhelmed is something that you will face constantly because you're constantly put out of your comfort zone every now and then. So just know that this is how you navigate through it, and you have to navigate through it again, okay? And that is the same thing for healing journey. It's part and parcel of your life. Now, back to what I'm saying. Sit with your emotions and write down every emotions that you're feeling right now. Whether it's frustrated or anxious or fear or not worthy enough or imposter syndrome or guilt, whatever emotions that you have right now, even if it's more than one, please write them all down, okay? Walk yourself through these emotions, every single one of them, and identify them. I want you to validate your emotions and ask yourself these few questions for every emotions that you're working with. Ready? I want you to note this down, right? Is there a specific incident or moment that caused me to feel this way? What stories am I holding on to or telling myself that is bringing up these emotions? Is it helping me? How can I feel better and let go of these emotions? What can I do now to make me feel less overwhelmed? Okay, write down these 3 questions and answer them truthfully with every single emotions that you face. All right, you can pause this video or this podcast that you're listening to. Take out a piece of paper, take out your journal, and write these questions down, okay? These are important questions that shows you the deepest roots of your emotions and where it stems from, and allows you to think of ways to work around it. Be honest with yourself, especially when it comes to stories that you're holding on to. It's not beneficial for you or your mental headspace. I want you to drop it. I know it's not easy, but this comes from a lot of, again, self-awareness and being honest with yourself to know that the stories that you're holding on to, or the stories that we hold on to in general, some of them may not be beneficial for us. Some of them are holding us back. I want you to look at all of these stories and ask yourself this very important question of, is it even helping you or is it bringing you down? Okay, is it making you feel any better? Is it improving your life? If it's not helping you in your personal growth journey, drop it. I know there might be ego that tie to it. Drop it. Okay, learn to acknowledge when those stories are not helping you. Learn to be vulnerable even with yourself, because that's like the biggest thing that you have to do. And what I found really helpful is to really be honest with myself, even though sometimes it is very hard for me to accept that. But as time passes, know that when you start to be honest with yourself, when you start to trust yourself, to give yourself this space to be vulnerable, everything will start flowing. Okay, and this comes from personal experience, so please trust me on this. All right, you got to protect your mind from all the unnecessary drama that you have in your head. Take any situation at surface level and not take it personally. That is when you can look at things from a more neutral perspective and avoid feeling overwhelmed by all the emotions. Okay, never ever take things too personally. It's not gonna help you. Put your ego down. Okay, whether you're a male, you're a female, whatever that you identify with, we all have egos, and I know that I do have ego as well. But I think the most important lesson that I've learned through my healing journey, or rather through this navigating through like overwhelming feelings, I feel like letting down or letting go of my ego has been like the biggest thing to me, because it helped me to see things on a surface level. I don't take things too personally, and to be more objective about the situation that I'm in or the emotions that I'm facing. All right, and I feel like it's really gonna help you when you understand this concept. Put your ego aside, okay? When you're doing all these exercises, put your ego aside. Now remember, break each emotions down. It is a long and tiring process, but a much needed one. If you're uncomfortable and you don't want to do that, know that you're just gonna keep getting more and more frustrated and overwhelmed, because new emotions are gonna surface every single day. The day that you choose to face these emotions is the day that you can actually start to feel better, okay? I said a lot of times, and I'll say this again. If you don't want to feel better, no one can help you with that. I can't help you with that. No matter how many podcasts you listen to, or no matter how many videos you watch on self-help, growth, and everything, if you don't want to feel better, I can't make you feel better. You gotta start taking the actions and setting the intentions to want to feel better, to want to work through your overwhelming feeling, to want to work through every single emotions, and to put in the effort, take the action to navigate through your emotions, okay? This is the only way that you can heal, all right? Now, as promised, before I end, I want to leave you with this mantra that I feel like has really, really, really helped me to feel better whenever I find myself getting overwhelmed. You ready? I love this mantra so much. This mantra is, everything will come to an end. It has to. This is a mantra that will only work when you truly believe in the truth to this statement. If you know the duality of life, which I talked about in one of the first few episodes, I think, episode 2, if I'm not wrong, you would know that there is good and bad, and whatever that you're facing right now will have to come to an end. It is just the way life works, the ups and the downs, right? Everything has to come to an end. It will come to an end. It may feel like it will never come to an end, but trust me, it will. Just take a moment to recall one of the situations that you were very overwhelmed by in the past. It has ended, right? And you are where you are now, stronger and better. This too shall pass. Keep repeating this mantra. Everything will come to an end. It has to come to an end. Even if you don't feel like it right now, or if you don't fully believe in it, one day it will all click, okay? Just keep repeating this mantra. Everything will come to an end. Everything will come to an end. Or if a mantra like this too shall pass helps you, whatever that helps you, keep repeating that. I want you to know that you'll get through this because of 3 reasons, okay? 1 is because you're strong. 2, the universe only gives you things that you're equipped to handle. 3, you likely have gone through it before, so you can do it again. And all this comes from confidence. All this comes from understanding that how the universe works, okay? Learn to be in this present moment, even if it's very uncomfortable for you and your body just wants to run in the opposite direction. I remember like feeling this way, but I just want you to remember we talked about this being comfortable with being uncomfortable in episode 40. I want you to sit through this discomfort because it will bring you the lessons that the universe wants you to learn from this overwhelming and uncomfortable situation, okay? Whenever we are overwhelmed, it's because our focus is not in the present, but on the things that have yet to happen, which is the future, right? Or things that have happened that we can't change, which is the past. And all of this, I'm sure you know, it's not helpful. So remind yourself to always be living consciously. This is something that I have to tell myself on a day-to-day basis, to live in the present moment, to stop and just observe what's happening around me, to stop and just observe the current thoughts that I have in my mind. In this present moment, the now. The only truth is the present, not the past, not the future. The present, in this moment, the now, okay? Also, it's very important to constantly regulate your emotions, right? Checking in with yourself, how you feel, and being honest about it so that you can identify where all these emotions are coming from. Whether it's just a fear that's bogging you down, or is it genuinely something your body is trying to tell you that you need to work on or that it needs attention. Notice all of this, okay? Just know that whenever that you're living in the current present moment, everything will just flow naturally. And this mantra of everything will come to an end, it has to, will help you to stop all this overwhelming feeling. So every single time or the next time that you feel overwhelmed, please just remind yourself that these two has to come to an end. Whether you like it or not, whether or not you have a timeline to it, it will come to an end. So you might as well just enjoy the process, right? You're already in it. Just enjoy the process. Learn how to regulate all your emotions. Learn how to be vulnerable with yourself and hold space for yourself to walk through all this discomfort. Alright, so that's all for today's episode. I hope you found this helpful and start to observe more from now on. And if you have any burning questions or topics that you want me to cover, please drop me a DM on Instagram at our live seasons or comment on whichever platform that you're listening to and I will get back to you. Alright, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!